Good morning, wherever you are watching in Australia, or maybe you're watching even further afield somewhere else in the world. This transmission is coming to you from Dromana, which is on the Mornington Peninsula, south of Melbourne, about 50 k's south of Melbourne. We have a small company down here on the peninsula at Dromana, and we are presenting to you today Claude Goddard, who is going to present a special program on the beauty in creation. Friends, let me introduce you to Claude.
All right, let's start with this presentation about intelligent design in beauty. Beauty doesn't come by chance. Beauty has a mind behind it, an intelligence that has given this a reason. I want to just show you a research from Pew. Pew Research Center is a place in the US, in Washington, D.C., where they do independent searches and polls about religious issues. And one of this has to do with the creation and evolution point. And one of them, in 2014, they studied what happened about rejection in evolution. And they show that Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, and the other countries in Latin America reject evolution in their majority. But Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, and Brazil, they support the evolution. So there are a lot of differences. In 2017, again, the Pew reported that majority of Muslims in countries like Afghanistan, Indonesia, and Iraq, they reject evolution. So they mostly are believing in creation. But in the same report, and this is quite important, this is the thing I want to show, is 57% of evangelical Christians reject evolution, 57%. And Seventh-day Adventists, 67%. Was the rejection of the ideas of human being evolved over time. Protestants, the main Protestant churches, 30%, Roman Catholics, 29% rejection of evolution, and Jews, only 16%. The point I want to make is Seventh-day Adventists, only 67% reject evolution, meaning that 33% are in the side of taking evolution on board and accepting evolution, probably most likely in the way of religion and evolution together, the theistic evolution, the most likely situation. But still, it's a concern that 33% of our people still remains in that side. The design argument is quite important because it reveals God. As we discover more of God's creation, and the design argument is getting stronger and giving less excuses to evolutionists not to believe in God. Also, the opposition to the design argument, which still is led by Satan, it's attacking with all its power today. People assume that things in nature are simple. And let me tell you, things are not simple. They're very, very complex. Nothing is simple in creation. Nothing is simple. And that's why there are two big enemies to evolution, to that no-God religion, which is evolution. Two big enemies. One of them is this. What is that? That's a telescope, a satellite telescope, the Hubble. And that's one big enemy for evolution. And the other one is the electronic microscope. You would say, oh, how come there could be enemies to evolution? Because they're showing things that no one else before was able to see. Let me show you just one example for the Hubble. The Hubble, some years ago, was trying to take the photos of the ultra deep universe, sort of very close to the supposed Big Bang. That was 13,000 million years away from the Earth. And they were able to take one of those photos. And the surprise was big. but because this is the answer, this was the photograph they took. And this was 13,000 million years away from us. Supposedly the Big Bang is 13.8, so very close to this point. But what they discover was a mature universe, not a lot of dust and a lot of creation of stars and galaxies, nothing like that. It was a mature universe. See? And the galaxies that you can see there, like that one, looks the very same as the galaxies are just close to the Earth, to our Milky Way. So how could that be? Could they be similar one to the other? We're probably going to get better answers very soon, because in a couple of years' time, another big telescope will be sent to space. It's called the James Webb, and that will have better capacity to get closer to the 13.8 million years light away. And the second thing about the microscope has a lot to do with molecular biologists. And there was an interview with a molecular biologist by George Kaler, who's a journalist. And he started asking this biologist, saying, do you believe that information evolved? And he said, George, nobody I know in my profession believes it evolved. It was engineered by genius beyond genius. And such information could not have been written in any other way. The paper and ink did not write the book. I think that that's clear. Paper and ink don't write books. Who write books? Intelligent mind has to be an intelligent person writing books. Okay? And he said, have you ever stated this publicly, in the public stage? He said, no. I just say it evolved. And to be a molecular biologist, you have to hold two insanities at all times. The first insanity is to believe in evolution, because we can see the truth by ourselves. And the second insanity would be insane to say that we don't believe in evolution, because if we say that, we lost government work, research grants, papers, big college, lectures. Everything would stop, and our lives would be just destroyed, and we couldn't earn a decent living. So it looks like this looked intellectually dishonest, says the journalist. But he said, oh, what we do is honorable. But we have to live with this elephant in the living room. You know, the elephant in the living room? He said, what is that? Oh, it's creation design, the design that we can see. That's the elephant in the living room. Because it's like an elephant, big elephant, moves around us, takes up a lot of space, loud trumpets very loudly, bumps into us, it's smelly, it's a lot of hay, but yet we have to swear it's not there. Yet geneticists do see the evidence for creation, but they see that the peer pressure, the financial considerations, political correctness, and religious commitment to naturalism, that is evolution, force them to look the other way and insist that they see nothing. And so it's illogical. Origin myth of modern society perpetuates itself. That's evolution. So design for engineers is always bio-design, bio-inspired. They look for it in the nature. That's where the best design can be found. And this bio-inspired design is optimized, it's the best. And that's the first source of inspiration for a designer. So engineers copy nature and they improve the system profitability with that. The second source of inspiration would be the design done by previous engineers, previous engineering designs, and that carry a lot of effort, time, knowledge, and thinking. It's not for free. And the worst source would be that coming from supposed evolution, which it would be natural selection, which objective is only to produce survival for the system. The purpose in any system is a very important attribute because it's a signature of design. For instance, the purpose for DNA is to encode protein structure and replication. The purpose for ribosomes is to manufacture proteins. The purpose for mitochondria is to produce energy in the form of ATP. Purpose of a chloroplast is to carry out photosynthesis. All of them, each one of them is just there for a purpose. They're not random. And the hallmarks of design has irreducible complexity. There's a lot of systems coming together to work. It's not just one system, a simple system working alone. It's a lot of systems coming together to make the result, to make the goods. Optimal design, same design for the same problem, unique design for a new problem, purposely over-design, and you see, added beauty. So beauty is a design issue, added there purposely. Ecclesiastes 3:11 tells us, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Also He has put eternity in their hearts, except that no one can find out the work that God does from beginning to end. So made everything beautiful. This is Professor John Maynard Smith. He's an evolutionary biologist and geneticist. And he says that no topic in evolutionary biology has presented greater difficulties for theorists than beauty. It's a problem for them, because beauty has no reason, has nothing to do with survival. It's just there making trouble. For instance, this building, obviously it's the Buckingham Palace in London, and has definitely added beauty, because all the things it's got, they're not required for structural purposes. For instance, these lamps, you see, they're so elegant. The gate is so well adorned with a lot of gold and beautiful things. And the facade of the building has a lot of columns and things which make it beautiful. They're not just for structural reasons. They're not there for that. Cars are also designed not just for performance, but for beauty. Okay? When you design a car, you try to look for patterns, symmetry, curves, blending, colors, contrast, variety, borders. And I'm just showing this car, this model is called the Trabant. It was a Eastern Germany car model, and probably I put it there because I think it's the ugliest car in the world. Just to make a contrast, okay? And this is Berlin, of course. You may recognize that Brandenburg door. But this probably is the nicest, most beautiful car in the world. It's just beauty for the sake of beauty. Okay? All shiny, round, just everything is beautiful in it. There was a satellite, the Envisat, which was the biggest civil satellite ever put in the space. And Professor Dr. Stuart Burgess, who's there, he was in charge of designing all these antennas. All this, the antennas. And this was crucial for the project. If those antennas didn't open and start producing power, all the project, many billion euros of cost, would just go to the bin. So he was explaining how long it took to do all this project. And to do this spacecraft, they spent 10 million units of information, that is drawings. 5 kilometers of wiring to put all this wiring together, put it all systems together. No, it doesn't heal itself, just if it breaks down, that's it. No reproduction, no, it doesn't reproduce, of course. They had 10-year life plan, and its life was 10 years and 1 week. So it was just there 10 years. And that's definitely, the spacecraft was not produced by chance, it was designed. There was no chance in it, and just they used 38 million man-hours to make it. If we compare to human being, we have 3 billion units of information with a pair basis in our DNA. We have 150 kilometers of wiring, which is the nerve system, which I will show you a photo later. We self-heal. Yes, we have systems to self-heal. We don't need to be intervened by outsiders. We fix ourselves normally. We reproduce, yes, and we have 100 plus potential years of living. And this definitely was not by chance, it was designed. So this doesn't make sense that we have been evolution. By the way, this is the wiring system, the nervous system of this, our bodies, which is 150 kilometers of nerves. And this is a show called Bodies. Probably you've seen it in Melbourne. Yep. Okay, next one is Job 38:22. Have you entered the treasury of snow, and have you seen the treasury of hail? This is a crystal of ice, an hexagon. It has always six sides. It's an hexagon pattern, and the snowflakes looks different most of the time. Some of them are similar, but probably it's very rare to find two similar. And almost all flakes have this hexagonal symmetry. Okay? And why I'm showing this, because this man probably will be the next Professor David Attenborough presenter. He's just the continuation of him. And he's been shown in ABC that he will continue. Brian Cox is his name. And he talked very softly, very nicely. But one of the things he said, talking about the snowflakes, it's there. He said, snowflakes have regular shapes, simple, repetitive, built on top of water molecules, yes. Getting hexagonal shapes, perfect, yes. Then he proposed that life originated from there. That's simple. Oh, then because they have some complexity, oh, then life, yes, originated from snowflakes. But the problem there is that life requires specific complexity. Life is not just simple order. We need complexity, specific complexity. And if the snowflakes start talking among them and making deals, yeah, I would believe that. But that's not the case. Right? Genesis 2:9. And out of the ground the Lord God made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. Look, pleasant to the sight. That's the idea of God making trees. And trees are pleasant to our sight. There are 3 trillion trees on Earth, 23,000 species, 1 million shades of green produced by trees. Leafy trees like sequoia, this is a sequoia, could have 2 billion leaves. It's evergreen for 20 years and could reach 85 meters of height. These are the little leaves, those are the leaves, so that's why it has so many. And we are designed to see all those shades of green because God is a great artist. We can enjoy this scene with a lot of greens, and we can enjoy it. We have the capacity to see this is beautiful, and we can appreciate that. Psalms 96:12. Let the field be joyful, and all that it is in it. Then all the trees of the woods will rejoice before the Lord. Probably when you read this, you say, oh, this must be a metaphor, must be some sort of psalm or something like that. Yes, it is a psalm, but the woods will rejoice before the Lord. Has another meaning. And why is that? Because the trees talk to each other. They have the capacity to make mutual assistance. Okay, we know the forests are not humans and they're not alive in the way we and animals are alive. They don't have the nefesh shaya, which is they're not living beings. But the trees cannot run if there's danger. So there's a pest or there's fire, they just have to stay put. So the Creator gave them unique abilities. They can communicate with each other and with other creatures, seeking for help. When the Bible proclaims that the trees of the woods give glory to God, probably this metaphor may be a reality in unexpected ways. I'm not going to explain it, how they do, but I wanted just to show you a road that shows us that there is something else, that the trees may get together and give glory to God in some way. When a tree is attacked by insects, they produce chemicals that make them taste bad. The other chemicals warn nearby trees of a swarm of voracious beetles. And some oak and beech leaves produce needles will produce electrical signals. When an insect predator eats them, within an hour, the tree will hopefully taste so bad that the insects will flee. In the African savannah, when a giraffe arrives and starts eating acacia leaves, yes, acacia leaves, the plants will soon be inedible because they will warn, because of that chemical, and they warn nearby trees, so sending a warning, a gas ethylene. So the other trees will capture that gas and they will know they're under attack. Other trees will detect the scent and start producing their own defense chemicals before the giraffe arrives. So how do plants smell the gas? How they mount their own defense? We don't know. Absolutely more research is needed. This is kind of a forest. All the trees of the same species, they do communicate through the roots. They have a system of communication on the roots. They have social attitudes of trees. Trees lovingly care for and looking after their offsprings. And they old and also to the old trees and afflicted neighbors. Trees have sensibilities, emotion, and memory. Okay? When one tree is sick, nearby trees may share nutrients through their roots to help them get well again. Roots may connect directly with other roots of the trees, so a tree can distinguish members of their own kind and establish connection with them. Fungal microbes receive from trees all the food, sugar, they need to build their bodies, and in return they help the trees obtaining water, minerals, and protect them from droughts and absorb toxic heavy metals. So trees communicate so intensively that network of communications has been called underground internet, or the Wood Wide Web, all right? Which there are electrical impulses, passes through nerve-like from tip of the root to another tip of the root through fungus. Fungus is the channel. By the way, this book is describing all what I'm talking about. The hidden life of trees. So it's something like that, you know, it's all underworld which we don't see. Designing flowers. What the world teaches, and evolution teaches, that we love flowers for their colors, shape, and scent. Yet their loveliness is not for us. It is to attract small creatures, that is, bees for pollination. But what the Bible teaches is that God has made everything beautiful in its time, and God clothed the grass of the field. So, colors in nature are not chance. Colors have perfect contrast between green lawn and blue sky. And red, by the way, is stressful. And blue and green are very peaceful colors. Blue is uncommon in the land, but green is the best background for color for flowers. So a perfect color scheme does not come by chance. This is not chance. You can see here all the green background, all the flowers and the blue sky. And it just goes perfect, one with the other. Matthew 6:28, 29, and why worry about your clothes? Look at the field lilies, that they don't worry about theirs. Yet King Solomon, in all his glory, was not clothed as beautiful as they. Flowers, God deliberately put beauty in flowers. Great variety of shapes, colors, scent, with a volatile organic compound, soft texture. 150 types of odor molecules. Definitely over-design. Orchids show amazing designs. And if you compare a petal, this is a petal, of course magnified, and this is paper, man-made paper, tissue paper. You can see how rough it is compared to a petal. Of course, flowers, you can see, I could show thousands of them, but they're so beautiful, full of color, full of shapes, full of differences, but they're very practical. And I just want to show you one example of design. In petunias, they have very special design. Plants have no brains, okay? And they have limited mobility, as I said before. Yet they have mechanism to thrive in place. One mechanism involves the prevention of inbreeding. A plant cannot reproduce by itself. They should not. Because if they do, they go into genetic decay, right? So it's the same as humans. We don't reproduce among brothers and sisters because comes genetic decay. The same thing happens there. So flower produces its own gametes, the male pollen there, and the female ova. So self-fertilization would create all the problems of inbreeding of any species. But petunia has something very special. The stigma contains a toxin that stops pollen growth. But pollen in turn has a team of genes which produces an antidote to that toxin, except if the pollen comes from the same flower. So if that is the case, will not produce any pollination, it will not produce any offspring. So it stops there. Here we have a lot of special orchids. You can see the orchid of the monkey flower, but the smiling monkey flower, this one here. This is the serious one, okay? These are the fighting ducks orchid. These are the bees, bee orchid, and these are the parrot flower. They're all just flowers, but why they have that shape? Why they showing us so much information? This is a bird. You see the face and the wings. This is the flying birds again. The dancing girls, another dancers and another dancer. And this one, look at this. Another orchid with a baby inside. How could that happen? By chance? No, this is a sign. Did you give the beauty wings to the peacocks or wings and feathers to the ostrich? When Darwin wrote a second book in 1860, he wrote that the sight of a feather in a peacock's tail, whenever I gaze at it, makes me sick. Because he realized that this tail of the peacock couldn't be just chance. He was realizing that. And the peacock, as you see, has a 360 degrees tail, and all these little things are eyes like that. But they're very special because this fan and with eye patterns are all colored by keratin. All this is structural optical coloration. Keratin is the same product that we have in the nails. So all this color is by coloring by keratin. And it's totally different to pigment coloring, because this keratin will depend on the reflection of light, and no degradation of color will happen. It's much superior to man-made colors. Darwin's idea that the male peacock spectacular feathers would provoke a response to female, to peahen. That was given as a canon of evolutionary biology for long years. But the professor Mariko Takahashi from the Tokyo University made a research on this. And they looked to 268 matings of feral Indian peafowl. And the research could not link the idea of elaborateness of the peacock tail with a mating success. So peahen did not choose them because of the beautiful tails. Put simple, the male's feather train failed to impress, much less interest the females. Here we have another Australian very special spider. They're peacock, they're called peacock spiders. They're very little. You can see a nail here with a finger. So they're very small. And they have a design. Another one is called the mirror spider. Look at the jewelry they have here. And the frog, all painted, like painted by handmade, but it's not. It's a real, it's nature. It's what God painted in His own colors. 1 Timothy 6:17. Command those who are command those who are rich in this present age not to be haughty, not to trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who gives us richly all things to enjoy. God gives us rich things to enjoy, for our enjoyment. Okay? So the design in birds has a lot to do with that. We have 7,000 species of birds in the world. They're all with optimum complex design. They have special respiratory systems for altitude. They have hollow bones for light structure. They require precise planning to fly. They include the capacity to migrate long distances. And they have also added beauty. This is a calculation for the power that a bird needs to fly. And that's a formula. I'm not going to develop the formula, but this is complex things. And when we can see a bird, we can see all the parts that the plane has, an airplane has. You know, aerodynamic body shape, aerodynamic wings to generate lift. The wing, this is the aerodynamic shape, by the way, that produces lift. The wing hinges for controls. The winglets, they had the extreme here, the winglets, the flaps, and the tail for control. When you make a turn, you need a tail, not to start in a spin. I used to be a pilot, that's why I'm saying this. And this is a hollow bone. But it's not just hollow because of weight, but also has structures inside, so it will have also a structural stability, will not break. And the winglets, yes, are the same as today's airplanes, because the winglets prevents wingtips vortices which decrease the lift, or with them will increase the lift. So this is just copy of the birds. But there's another feature here for a silent owl. It was discovered that an owl who hunts at night time was very silent. Have you heard the helicopters when they fly? They make a lot of noise. The drones make a lot of noise. In general, airplanes make a lot of noise. But this bird was very silent. And they just displaced in the air and went to the rat or whatever they want to eat, and they just took it by surprise. So what happened? What was the difference? The difference was the edge here. The edge, they have a serrated edge with little lines there, which makes the flow of the air through the wing to be very controlled, laminar flow. And why noise is produced because of turbulent flow of air, right? So that's the difference. And that's why rotors of helicopters, wings, drones, and produce a lot of noise because of turbulent flow. But this animal show a design feature. The godwit, you can see there, but it's a small animal. Here, you can see there. It's in the hand of a person. Has incredible internal changes. That animal is born in New Zealand. And when they're born, they're just abandoned by their parents straight away. So they have to develop their skills and all that alone. And they start building up the fat in their bodies. Up to 55% of the full body weight is fat. Why is that? Because they have to migrate. So you have to go into flight and get to China in a long, long flight. And that fat is their petrol. That's why they can fly. And if the fat just, it's over, it's gone, they just will go to the sea, will die. So, but the interesting thing is that after they reach 55% of their weight in fat, they produce an incredible internal change. The instant time, the kidneys and the liver shrivel up and they shrink to a fraction of their usual size. So they reduce weight to fly. And they know exactly where to go. The altitude, the distance, the time, where to go, everything is in their brain. Because they never did the trip before with their parents. You know? And it's believed they have a magnetic type of indication where to go. Here's the trip from New Zealand to China, 10,300 kilometers, 6,500 kilometers to Alaska, and back to New Zealand, 11,700 kilometers. Just fantastic. How they do it? How can they do this so perfectly well? Just because they have design. Because in their little brains, their bird brains, they have the knowledge, the information. Coming back to beauty. This is a Nicobar pigeon. It's so well dressed, ready to go to a wedding party. But how come? Why God gave him so much beauty? What about this one? Or this, the blue magpie? Or the Amazonian flycatcher? You see, they're so beautiful. So birds singing. The evolution interprets that the birds think to frighten other birds. But the birds start singing when they're born. It is in its design. They never heard parents singing. And they memorize songs, up to 300 in the case of nightingales. They have rhythm, key, pitch, melody, and structure, and up to 45 notes per second. And they can make duets or quartets, like the African shrike. Can you listen? Yeah, that's a bird singing. You see, the problem is that the dog will not eat if he's not listening to a song. Okay, this one. This is just so amazing. And you know the birds, they don't have any vocal cords. So they have to sing with just making, it's like whistling. That's what they do. Okay, this is a special case. This is a web cob, and there's a little spider there. And that little spider, what they do, they pick all little leaves and things, and they make, to look like a big spider in the web. So no one will attack because it's a big one. And the interesting thing is that when he builds this, let's call decoy, it puts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 legs. How many legs the spiders have? 8. How do this little spider know that? But it knows because its brain is prepared for that. It's been built with that. That is intelligent design. Have you ever wondered why some animals look so adorable? Let me analyze it a little bit. How the Creator include cute in creation. Many animals have certain distinct characteristics that just arouse in us caring response for them. And there was a study done in 2016 which why people show love, tenderness, protectiveness, improve social relation, pleasure, care and empathy for those animals. It's interesting because there's a hormone called oxytocin, which is producing that happy response from us. For instance, this little cat. This little cat has a little nose, a button nose. And young noses are small because they're underdeveloped, with plenty of room to grow later. And they have soft skin. The skin of a newborn animal is loose, so the animal can stretch as they grow. Or also they have a round head. The heads of the young animals are large compared to their bodies. The forehead is very important. You see the eyes, this is the forehead. Young animals are born with large brains, so they're full of neurons. And big eyes, yes. Some young animals are born with well-developed eyes that can see very well. Or round bodies, you see, they look fatty. Young animals are born with extra reserve of fat. And they have full cheeks. And they're strong because they have strong muscles, so they will be able to suck milk right away. Or they look innocent. You see, they're cute because they're innocent. And you can notice that. So let me compare this. This is a beautiful cat, but let's compare with the next one. Which one is cutest? The first one, isn't it? Because this has a different position of his eyes. And you notice that. And your brain immediately processes that. And what about this? Poor man, poor cat. That's a real cat, by the way. Okay, Psalms 139:14. I will praise you, for I am fearful and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and my soul knows that right well. Humans are purposely over-designed. We have in our face 43 facial muscles, and we can make 21 facial expressions: happiness, sadness, surprise, and all those things that we show in our face. But apes have 26 facial muscles, but they don't show emotions. They cannot. They're not prepared for that. We are for that. And we have a perception of beauty. We can know where something is beautiful. Because there's a part of our brain that processes beauty, is always processing that, and is capable of recognizing it. And how do we recognize? Because of proportions. Proportions is paramount in beauty. Contrast, smoothness, curves, symmetry, distinctiveness, fineness, color, and harmony. The eyes can detect millions of colors. Our ears are sensitive, and smell and taste buds. We have all those systems to get something beautiful. And we humans enjoy beauty. In the environment, in animals, in pets, in plants, in cars, in objects of art, in music, good food and perfumes, but also beauty in other humans. We do recognize beauty in other humans. And let me check this. Genesis 29:17, Rachel was beautiful of form and appearance. Question is, was Rachel beautiful in her spirit? She was beautiful spiritually and was a nice Christian? Or was it more than that? What is telling us this? More than that, isn't it? She was beautiful in form and appearance. Was a beautiful woman. And let me ask you, which one of these rectangles is more attractive to you? Okay, was 5, 3, 4, 1? 2 is the one. 2 is the perfect rectangle. And I show you why. Because beauty requires a precise design. It shows the handiwork of a creator. There is one thing called the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio, 1.618. So all our faith for a beautiful person is done in proportions. 46% there, 100% there. And the same thing, distance from the eyes to the lips. And for the forehead, has to be exact. Okay, same thing, the same proportions, and that will produce a beautiful person. So not just the face, but the hands are made to that proportion. The arm and the hand, and all the body is proportioned with those 1.618. Same thing with our ear and the DNA and the tooth, the frontal tooth, same thing. All have that proportion. If you see this man, you know him of course, his proportion of his forehead and his rest of his face comes exactly in that proportion. That's why he's so attractive. Nothing else, it's just a man. Now, if we compare our bodies with a gorilla, you can see how different they are. The hands of gorilla goes under the kneecap, all right? And all the size, the barrel, you see the shape of his ribs and all that, they're so different. If anything can be said of humans that are over-designed, and over-design is definitely evidence of creation, because evolution could not produce but only what is needed for survival, natural selection. Just that. That's all they need. But this is over-design. It's beauty. We have skillful hands. Most sophisticated devices that we have in our bodies, our hands, because a large part of the brain is dedicated to control the hands, the motor cortex. And also we can produce sewing, art, surgery, sports, play musical instruments, which a monkey cannot. Right? Also we have unique language and speech. We have 5,000 different languages in the world, and with intricate sounds and grammar. And we have a deep throat, and about 100 muscles working when we speak. And we have a unique center for language in the brain. And if we speak our own language, we normally speak in a continuous sound. One word after the other. We don't stop each one word after the other. We just make a continual line of language. And that's the brain, our brain puts a gap between words. That's why the brain is working with us and making us understand what we're saying. It's not the case when you speak a foreign language. When you speak a foreign language, your brain does not separate words. That's why it's so difficult to understand and to speak. Why monkeys don't speak? Because they don't have the systems to do it. They don't have processing brain structures. They don't have the nerves put there in place to be able to work the language. So they have a lot of difficulty, and the hyoid bone, which we have here, it's absolutely necessary to produce all the noises of conversation. So humans, we have unique beauty. Beautiful lady, and compared to our friends, the monkeys, we're so different. And the list go on and on. Unique fine skin, unique childhood, unique brain, unique genome, unique marriage and birth, unique spiritual being. One thing I have desired of the Lord, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord. You see, beauty is everywhere. We are going to behold the beauty of the Lord. One day we will be there, enjoying this beauty of the Lord, the beauty of the scene, of nature, and we will be so happy on that day. And believe me, Psalms 147:1, praise the Lord, for it is good to sing praises to our God, for it is pleasant, and praise is beautiful. So it's beautiful to sing hymns to the Lord and to be able to praise Him in the way He told us. God bless you.